Okay guys, hi! This is like the 75th time I've attempted to record this video. I don't know why I'm not as snappy on a Thursday. I want to do a quick video about how to stitch on linen and even weave over two. So what I'm about to say is going to make no sense to some people. First thing, get some fabric. It'll help a lot. Second thing, disclaimer, people do this differently. Paula Vaughn's quilts from the Garden magazine, leaflet, book, their stitch guide does it the way I do it. Just Cross Stitch magazine has a stitch guide that does it the opposite. I think Carolyn Mazzio does it the opposite of how I do it. So, far be it from me. Whatever you want to do is fine. However, I'm going to just explain how I was taught, and, I didn't completely make it up. It's like in here. Okay, so here we go. Happy Thursday, by the way. It's like major recording day. I'm seeing so many videos, so I'm excited to go stitch and watch. Okay, do you have your fabric? Got your fabric. When you get really close, which unfortunately I can't get close enough that you can see what I'm talking about, but if you get really, really close, really close, maybe I can actually, let's see. Do you see that there are uppy downies and lefty righties? Does that make any sense to you? So you're looking at it, and you see some threads that are woven over, that's uppy downy, and there are some that are woven over that go this way, lefty righty. I drew a picture. This one is an uppy downy. It's an uppy downy over the top. This one is a lefty righty because the top thread is going left to right. Okay? Are you with me so far? Uppy downies, lefty righties. So I'm looking at whichever thread is over the top. So look at your fabric, and you'll see it's woven, right? Over, under. And the uppy downies are when the top thread is vertical, and the lefty righties are when the top thread is horizontal. Okay, so when I do my stitches, the way I was taught is that you always come up next to an uppy downy. So I cross this way first, and then I cross back this way. That's just the direction I do my stitches. This will work. If you want to come up next to a lefty righty, you can do that. But I'm going to just do uppy downy. So, uppy downy, and then I come back this way. That's important because when you're stitching, every other one is going to be an uppy downy. So this next one would be a lefty righty, then an uppy downy. Lefty righty, uppy downy. So when I'm stitching, when I'm counting, I always count uppy downies. I don't count the lefty righties. So I count half as many stitches. Also, if I was going to come in and do a stitch over here, I know I need to come up next to an uppy downy. So when I do my counting, it's a way to double check and make sure that I'm on the right row and column for my stitch because I'm looking for an uppy downy. Also, and I don't totally get how this works, but it does. If you come up next to a lefty righty, and so if you were going to come up in this spot instead of this spot, so coming up here, to the left of a what am I trying to say? This is a lefty righty, so you're coming up next to the lefty righty instead of next to the uppy downy. Please say you understand what I'm saying. If you came in here, you run the risk of your thread slipping behind this lefty righty thread. Whereas if you come in here, the uppy downy locks in your thread. And if you stitch on linen, you're going to know exactly what I mean, especially if you're stitching over one. So over one, you would be doing 4 stitches. So people have also asked that when you're talking about, God, I should start from the very beginning on this, but we're just doing it how it comes out. So when you're stitching on linen, typically you stitch over 2 over 1. 2 over 2, sorry. Typically you would stitch 2 threads over 2 threads. So 2 strands of floss over 2 threads. So that's what that means. There's 2 verticals, so you count 1, 2. You don't count like Ada where you're stitching over 1. So every hole you're going to put a stitch. Every hole. Whereas here you're skipping a hole. Okay? Now the reason that you do that, I believe, is just so it's bigger. Because if you were going to stitch over 1, it's very, very dense. Heaven and earth, you may stitch over 1. Skin on mirabilias, a lot of people stitch over 1. Skin on Passion Ricamo, you stitch over 1 sometimes. Lavender and lace is charted over 1. So how does that work? What does that mean if you're stitching skin over 1, especially if it's not recharted as over 1? Well, it's super easy. All you do is when you see a symbol, one symbol, a dot or star or whatever, your symbol on the pattern, you do 4 stitches. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you don't skip any holes. You just go over 1 thread. But on typical patterns, if you're going to use linen, you typically would just do 1, 2. So your stitch crosses over a whole tic-tac-toe. No, it's not a whole tic-tac-toe board. Yeah, it's a whole tic-tac-toe board. You stitch over the whole tic-tac-toe board, over 2 threads that way and over 2 threads that way. Okay? So again, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is if you always start next to the thread that goes in this direction, it locks in your stitch so your stitch doesn't slip behind. And again, you'll know what I'm talking about once you stitch on linen. And also, you will be able to count a lot more easily, right? Like, you're only counting an uppy downy each time. Skip that one, count that one, count that one. Okay, I hope that makes some sense. I hope that is interesting and helpful. Please comment below with more questions. I'll do a follow-up video and explain. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's not scary. I know stitching on linen the first time was like a huge, scary thing for me. It's not scary. You can do hard things. That's my motto. But it's really fun, and it's addicting, and the fabric is a lot prettier than Aida. And then when it's up on the wall, you don't see the little holes in it, so it's like, looks a lot more painted, and it just looks really awesome. I will say, I don't know if you'll be able to see this because it's in a package, but if you get really close to Aida even, you can't see it too well, but it has uppy downies, lefty righties too. You're just always stitching over 1, so you don't need to pay attention to it. Okay? I guess you could stitch over 2 on this, but then it would go from 14 count to 7 count, and you'd have the world's biggest face. Okay, hope that helps. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you Monday.